Thank you for joining, Liz. I'm joined here by Rachel and Franny. This is Rachel, and Franny will be joining momentarily. And tell me if there's any issues on the volume, because I'm going to be talking from back here, kind of into the room, and I'm just hoping that the room picks it up, that the microphone picks it up okay. I'll adjust it a little bit. There we go. I just turned up the volume a little bit for this. So, hello, Lalitha. Thank you for joining. So, this is a system called foundation training. And it's basically a system developed kind of on the west coast of California by Dr. Eric Goodman. And he's kind of a surfer dude, but also knows how to deal with sports injuries and like repetitive stress injuries. And also just strength training. So a big point of foundation is doing things that you can practice really of any age. I mean, there are people in their 70s who have been in wheelchairs, not able to walk, who have practiced this stuff and started to actually walk again. Because what you're doing is you're exercising the parts of the body that will protect you from getting injured. So you're actually preventing back pain. You're preventing different shoulder pain and things like that. And from RSI injuries. So it's a really good system. So much of foundation is based on what they call the founder position, and I'll go into the founder, and then I'll take you through a 12-minute active stretch. So the founder is a very basic position, and it's actually one of these power positions, kind of like psychologists have found if you stand in a classic superwoman pose. Yeah, you can try it, it's fine. You know, you just feel good, like your weight's back on your heels a little bit, stuff like that. Like you just kind of have higher self-esteem, things like that. Well, founder is very simple and very similar. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand feet about hip width apart, slightly wide, but not windmill wide. We're not going, we're not going like that. We're just kind of going like that. And then what you do is you hinge at the hips and you chop your butt back as if you're closing a drawer, and you bend forward. You basically, your head comes down as your butt goes back. And so you'll see, and then you put your arms out in front of you. And there's different things you can do from this position. You can stretch out your toes and put your weight back on your heels, but still grip with your toes. So basically, your toes can be gripping. Yeah, this is good. So let's go back. It's chop back the butt a little more. It's a hip hinge. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. And then you go back to standing. And even just practicing going into this hip hinge and going back to standing is like a first step of any foundation training. And so here I'm just going to show, as my hips chop back, my arms go forward, and what I'm doing is now my weight is back on my heels. I can spread my feet. Now I can start to take deep breaths in with my nose. And with each breath, try to expand my rib cage away from, lengthening my torso. I can also pay attention to the back of my neck, and I'm not smelling my way forward. I don't have my chin forward. My chin is tucked, and the back of my neck is long. I'm looking about 3 feet in front of me. Let's go back to standing. So that's just a very basic intro to, what is one of the foundational poses. And that's a real powerful pose. We're even just going into that, like just at different times. And you can do different widths. I was teaching it kind of as if you're standing in a box and you feel a little bit of a kind of a constraint there, but you can also do it wider. But even just, so this is the basic one, going into that hip hinge, just practicing the hip hinge, and then the wide as well. And yeah, that hip hinge, your butt goes straight back horizontally as your arms come up. So your entire torso drops, but it's because of your butt going back. Your butt is leading the way. And you can do it at the extreme like that, right? You can go to a very extreme hip hinge. And so just practicing that hip hinge. Okay, now we're going to go through the classic 12-minute foundation training workshop, or workout. So hopefully we'll be able to do this in 12 minutes. I haven't taught this in a while, so we'll see. But this is one that I taught at High Desert Human Design Year 1, and I've done a few times, and it's one of their classics. They actually have a new one now, but if you look up foundation training 12 minutes, on YouTube, you'll find their classic. Okay, so feet go hip width apart, weight back on the heels, chop your hips back as if you're closing a drawer with your butt. Your arms come up, and take a deep breath. And now we're going to start to bring the arms as high as they can go. Just bring them really up high. Take a deep breath here. You can flex the feet into the ground. All right, now we're gonna bring it back down to horizontal. Now we put our thumbs to our shoulders, and this is what's called a founder. I'm gonna turn sideways so you can see. I'm in my hip hinge, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hip hinge deeper where my butt goes out, and then kind of my whole torso moves down as one unit, and then back up. And it's better to do these slow and controlled than fast. You can do as fast as you want, but you don't want to bend your lower back. My torso is only going down because basically my hip is going back. So you can see that these are called good mornings, and these are really good. You can actually flex your feet together and gather the ground, flex your inner thighs, pull the ground in, and you can actually feel the adductors and the glutes work and even tremble on your way up. And you only want to do maybe 5 or 10 of these or 15. I mean, that's plenty. I think we're good. But so let's stand all the way to standing. Hey there, Shango. So we're doing an intro to foundation training, and this is being recorded, so people can always come back to it later if they'd like. Okay, so that was a really good start. Now let's do a couple more things we can do with founders. So for the next thing we can do with the founder is, so let's go back into our founder, hips chop back, arms forward. Now from here, there's a few interesting things we can do. We can put our arms behind us. So this is like this reverse founder. Take a couple deep breaths here. Now I want you to roll your shoulders back and pull them down towards your butt. Take a couple deep breaths in that new space we've created in our chest.
Our knees bent or straight?
Yeah, and now without doing, so toes pointed forward, legs straight, strong into the ground. Now without changing posture at all, bring your arms forward and bring them as high as you can go. And just feel that lower back burn, feel all that, everything, that tension go into the lower back. Take a couple deep breaths here, and we will go back to full extension standing. Okay, so what we've just done is we've looked over a few of the basics of the founder, where from the founder you can go, I guess the only one we didn't do, this will be the last founder, and then we'll move on to a couple other things. So let's hips chop back, go back into the founder. Now for this one, let's go as far as we can go. Fingers just keep stretching forward, your butt just keeps going further back, your chest just keeps going lower. This is a real hamstring stretch. And then, of course, if you want the extra burn, you can start going higher. Optionally. And when you're done, go back to the center and stand. Yeah, so those are a couple of the basic things you can do with the founder. So this really fundamental posture, which is just starts with the hip chop, starts with going back into here. From there, you can do these good mornings, which where you go deeper. You can do, you roll your shoulders back, and you can really get an opening and breathing expansively into the lungs. There's a lot of micro movements where as you practice over time, it just deepens and deepens. So you're doing very simple things, but then you get to go really deep into them. Okay, so for this next one, we're gonna go right foot forward, left foot back, toes pointed the same way. Here, I'll do it so you can see my feet here. So toes pointed the same way. And this is not gonna be a forward, sort of a yoga one. You're actually gonna go back. So the knee, kind of like a triangle. Your knee is behind your heel. You don't want your knee in front of your heel for this. So I'm going to make sure that we have this full screen. I realized for the recording I need to spotlight. So let me pin and what's the other one I got here? Sorry, just a moment here. Spotlight. There we go. Perfect. So what we're doing is toes the same direction, and there's a couple of those things you can do. Your back heel is up, but your weight is kind of going back, pulling it towards the ground, if that makes sense. So even though my heel is up, not that far up, but it's not on the ground either, you know, it's up, but I'm wide enough that I can feel my weight kind of pulling back. Now we're going to take our hands up, and we're just going to put them forward a little bit. Now this is called taking aim. So for taking aim, you're basically just aiming directly forward, toes pointing the same direction. You can think of it like an arrow. And we're just going to lean forward a little bit, just torso only. So with your torso only, you're leaning forward, feeling that pressure build in the right adductor, in the right inner thigh, the right glute. So you're just feeling and pushing heavy into the right heel. Now we're going to bring the arms up as high as we can. Yeah, bring them up above your head like that. A few deep breaths. Then we're going to bring them back down to horizontal. And at this point, you're going to turn to the right. Now you can either turn and hold or do a number of turns. So 90 degrees. This is a 90-degree turn. And you can either do it a number of times or you can just hold. So you can just go turn and hold. Yeah. Okay, when we're done with that, we're going to put, I know this is getting a bit much on the right leg here, we're going to put our thumbs to our shoulders, and we're going to bend the whole torso forward and push up into the right heel to lever the torso back. You don't have to go that deep. I mean, you can, depending how hard you want to do it. But you don't have to go that deep. You can just do a small one. But the main point is, it's the whole torso moving as a single unit. No bending. You have a long neck, broad shoulders, broad back of the lungs. All right, now let's go to full standing. So that was, I guess actually there's one more.
Do you want me to do the other side?
Yeah, we're going to do the other side. But, okay, there's one more on the right side. So now while we're here, arms back forward. Now bring your arms totally behind you. And then rotate your shoulders and pull them down. And take a couple deep breaths. And then without changing position at all, go as high as you can go. You're going to feel that tension build in the right leg, the right glute, and now back down. Optionally, you can do one more forward lunge if you want. Just and then back to standing. Okay, now we're going to go left foot forward, right foot back. Do the same thing on the other side. So just stand here for a moment. So with left foot forward, we're now going to put our arms forward and take aim. And you can really think of aiming forward. You know, your toes are pointed the same direction. If anything, your back heel is a little bit out, so you can have a slight internal rotation, but pointing forward. Now let's just go forward as far as it's comfortable. Just bring the arms forward. Building that tension in the left heel. And if it's okay for you, raise the arms up. That adds a little extra tension. And don't forget to take nice expansive breaths. Arms go back down. And now we can go back a little bit. And from here we have a couple options. We can turn to the left and we can either hold, exactly, or we can rotate a number of times. And this is a 90-degree rotation. Whole torso moving as one unit. When we're done with that, let's put our thumbs to our shoulders. And now let's do whole torso moving as one unit forward. It'll naturally move down as you move forward. And you'll push back up with the heel to lever the whole torso back up. So a lot of this is body mechanics lessons. How you can push in one place to have strength in another. Pushing in my left heel is giving me the strength to raise my whole torso back up. Okay, for this one, let's put our arms forward now, and then we'll bring them all the way back. And then we're going to rotate the shoulders and pull them down towards our butt. Take a couple of deep breaths into this newfound space. New areas of the lungs we're not used to. And now, without moving at all, we're going to bring our arms all the way up and just bring them as high as is comfortable for you. I bring my elbows up to my forehead, but keeping them straight. And we're done, we just bring back down and go to standing. Now there are a couple others that I didn't quite show there. I guess maybe I'll just show really quickly. Briefly, we can do one more for each side, which I will show. Let's save that for later. It'll feel really good at the end. So we're going to come back to this at the very end. Now I want us to do the sumo squats. So this is a wide squat, as wide as you can go. You don't have to go low yet, just a wide stance. And then I'll show you how to go low. Unlike most squats where your knees go out as you put your butt down, for this, your hips are going back. I mean, this is a kind of a squat too. This is really the classic sumo squat, yeah. And your weight's back on your heels. In fact, you can even have your toes up, possibly. And then you can put your toes back down to grip, but only grip with the toes and expand the foot once you have that firm heel back, weight back in the heels. Now from here, we're gonna put our arms up. So this is just like we were doing with the founder. And let's just actually go ahead and do some good mornings. Let's put our thumbs to our shoulders, whole torso moving as one unit, bobbing down, just bobbing low. You can look about 3 or 4 feet in front of you, neck long. Every time your torso moves down, your butt moves back. And every time your torso moves up, you can clench your butt a little bit and squeeze the glutes to give you that little boost. And you'll actually feel a tremble in the back of your thighs. And that tremble is good. That means you're using the muscles you haven't used much. If they're trembling like that, that's a good tremble. Okay, so from here, let's now put our arms forward. And let's just bring them up a bit. Bring them up as high as you can go, really. As high as you can go with your shoulders staying kind of rotated and levering, I should say. So levering the arms up, not, you're not rolling the shoulders out. You're keeping the shoulders tucked and supporting. Okay, now bring them down. Let's go back as far as we can go. And then rotate the shoulders, same deal. So you can see each time we do this chest one, we really are opening up new space. Same deal as before. We go all the way up, build that tension. And then now this time we're going to go all the way down. Whew. Now walk your fingers forward a little bit, maybe about a foot. Put your right hand flat on the ground if you were able to, and left hand goes all the way up, pointing at the ceiling. Now you can do it once and hold, or you can do multiple times. It works either way, and it has different benefits either way. So sometimes you can do it one way, sometimes you can do it another. After about 10 of these, we're going to switch hands. Left hand flat on the ground, right hand up at the ceiling. And you're rotating your entire torso. Your entire torso rotates, not just the arm. Entire torso rotating 90 degrees to point up. Okay, once you've done 8 or 10 of those, put your hands on your shins, and we're now going to draw the hands up from the shins, up towards the knees, and that is how to get out of this pose. And we're going to go back to our hinge, our wide hinge here, and we're just going to put our arms forward, and now we're going to try putting our arms as forward as we can go, and our butt as back as we can go. I'm just going to lower your torso a little bit as well. Ooh, just feel that, yeah, that good burn. Okay, now one last thing, we're going to go back to the middle, and now put our arms flat on the ground, and just try to, from here now, go back, and feel that stretch. All right, hands to the shins and back up to standing again. Okay, just one last one while we're in wide. Let's go. See, what haven't we done? Let's just go as wide or as far back and as far forward as we can one last time on this. Okay, and we can return to center and stand up fully, shake it off a little. Okay, we're going to do one last set of founders with a little special extra addition. And then we're going to finish on one more very short side stretch, doing the technique I didn't show earlier. But yeah, we've learned a lot of techniques today. We've done a lot of the same things again and again in different contexts. So you can see like those shoulder rotations, things like that. It's really all about opening up. Okay, so for our next segment, we will go back to the original founder. So this is not a wide stance, is decently wide. It's like below your shoulders, shoulder length basically. And now we're going to put weight back in the heels, hip chop back. This time, what I'm going to do is you can go even lower. And what we're going to do is we're going to put our hands lower as if you're carrying a heavy ball. And take a couple deep breaths. And now begin to put slowly one arm up and forward as if you're handing a bowl of soup to somebody, is the way they say it. Because the term is supination, so it helps you to kind of remember what this is called. And we're supinating right now. And this supinating is just a really good fundamental movement. It's really good to make sure these fundamental movements are strengthened. It's like we're strengthening all the little micro muscles that support correct movement. Okay, when we're done supinating, we're going to go a little bit, we're going to go back to middle, and we're going to stand up a little higher. We can kind of always check where we're at. We're not going to go all the way, but we're going to go kind of like to that hip hinge like here. And you can always check by just moving your arms forward again and just feeling that tension in the lower back. Now we're going to move the elbows and the fingers and hands together, exactly. Fingertips touching, thumbs around your nose, height or slightly higher, but around your nose. And then you can start pressing into the fingertips actually. And now raise, your entire thing is one unit. Elbows touching, you do not want these to come apart. You just raise and lower a handful of times. This is probably the hardest thing to do today. But, okay, once you've done that 8 or 10 times, let it out, put your arms back. You can bring them again all the way up as high as you can go. These kind of movements are almost like calibrating. You're checking in where your back is, Now, same deal, one last time. Elbow, fingertips, and let's just do a handful more. Maybe 5 more. I am done, I'll tell you. Okay, all done. Now let's put our hands to our sides, and let's go back up to full standing. Tell you, that's the hardest one we're going to do today. Okay, last one, about 30 seconds each. This is the icing on the cake. We're just going to do side stretches like we did before, but with a slight modification. So we're going to go into the same side stretch we did before. So take aim, toes facing forward, knee back. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually tilt the left heel out. So the left big toe is going to be pointing in, and then we're going to start to slowly pull it. We're not going to tilt it much, just a little bit. And slowly pull it, and what you'll feel is this really nice stretch and action of the hips and thighs kind of turning against each other. So for this one, let's actually interlock our fingers and go up above our head, and now lean back into the right. Take a few deep breaths along that whole inner chain of the body. The whole outer chain, left outer chain. And now start to pump that heel slightly. And you're not pushing up and pulling down, you're really pulling both directions. You're pulling your weight down and then pulling your weight back up. And that back heel never touches the ground, it just, okay. All right, let's loosen the hands. Now go left foot forward, right foot back. Take aim, same deal. Tilt that right back thigh, put the heel out a little bit, and we're just going to move that back heel just a little bit, just to feel the pressure like scissors closing on each other, those inner thighs. And now we're going to interlock the fingers, go above our head, and now we're going to go back into the left and feel that whole right outer line of the body completely open up. Take deep breaths into your right pelvis and your right lower stomach and psoas and all of these areas, and lean further back into the left to open that up, slowly pulling the back heel up and down. So the heel pulls up and down. Okay, and then when we're done, put our arms to our side, stand up to full extension, and you're done. Shake it off. That's your foundation training for the day. So thank you everyone for watching, and really enjoyed that. This is recorded if you ever want to watch again. And it's a nice short one. If you really get it down, you can do it in 12 minutes. We had some talking and some kind of discussion, so we got it slightly longer, but yeah, I'm just going to be leading these every Friday, and depending if it's people who are first timers, I'll talk a little more about foundation. If not, we'll just go through the exercises. And yeah, thank you so much. Hey Monique, so this is all recorded, and I will put this up for anyone who wants to watch, and I'll be doing it every other Friday. So the reason I'm doing this also is to help get more people to come to Qigong, because Orion Ohev does that every 2 weeks, but it was hard for me to remember to go. Like, I would show up on the wrong week and stuff like that, so I just decided to do one every other week from him. So this coming Friday, so it's always at the same time to make it nice and easy, just so that people can, can join every Friday if they want to, or just know that there's something going on every Friday. And so his is Qigong, and it's really good. I've been doing it. He's like four sessions in, and so we'll be alternating weeks. He'll do Qigong, and then I'll do foundation. All right, thanks for watching, and see you all soon.